and welcome to another edition of Currently in Quincy. I'm Joe Catalano, and on today's program, Quincy Symphony Orchestra conductor, music director Yoichi Utagawa will be our guest in studio. Talk about two of their upcoming concerts. First, though, as always, we take a look at the weather and the news for you. Currently in Quincy, it is unbelievably beautiful. Wall-to-wall sunshine, 73 degrees, kind of breezy and balmy. Highs today in the mid, maybe even upper 70s this afternoon. Quite humid as well, feeling more like early September than early November. Chilly night tonight, though. Things come to an end this evening with a cold front blowing through. Lows will drop off into the lower 40s. We're back to normal for tomorrow and Wednesday. Carbon copy days, sunny and in the low 50s, and warming up again here on Thursday, with temperatures climbing into the mid 60s. Right now, again, sunshine, 73 degrees in Quincy. Checking news for you today. The news is all about tomorrow's state election, of course. Early voting ended last Friday. Don't forget, mail-in ballots must be postmarked by tomorrow, but they will be accepted up until Saturday, November 12th at 5 p.m. Now, when the polls close tomorrow night at 8 o'clock, right here in Quincy, City Clerk Nicole Crispo explains the results from all 31 precincts will be centrally tabulated at City Hall.
Tabulation is somewhat new. We were one of the first communities to adopt it. We were a test community a couple of years ago, and we love the way that it works. So what happens is your ballot is actually goes through a tabulator before the election. However, all of the data is just put onto a stick, and then just like at your polling place, there's a data chip in there, and that data chip gets brought back by your warden to City Hall on election night, and all of that gets put into a computer together, and that gets your unofficial election results.
Crispo says over 12,000 voters requested mail-in ballots for tomorrow's election. She is predicting a 50% turnout for the election here in Quincy. Now, in-person voting, of course, takes place tomorrow, 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. And please join us here at Quincy Access Television tomorrow night at 8 p.m. for our live election night coverage. MBTA General Manager Steve Poftak has a little less than 2 months left on the job after announcing last week that he will resign come January 3rd. Poftak stepping down after 4 years at the helm of the T. State Representative Tacky Chan of Quincy says that's the longest term for the head of that agency in a while.
Endurance test of this guy to actually last this long is probably going to be a record for MBTA general managers, in the last 20 years. But I think, you all saw in the news, the shortcomings too. But I wish I could say it was just this guy. It's more than just him. I think it's the lack of consistent leadership, top-heavy management, the desire to downsize their budget via people reduction. And, I truly believe on a personal level, they were trying to fill in a lot of positions via independent contractors as part of construction projects, as opposed to actually hiring more full-time personnel. Quincy is a very politically savvy city, and you have any clue how many calls I get about, hey, I want a job at the T, I want a job at the T. It's like a mantra. To be perfectly honest, in the last decade, last 6 years, I've gotten no requests for a job at the T. And one of the reasons it's very hard to get a job at the T is because there were no vacancies at the T. People didn't want to leave.
So Chan says the MBTA board will make a recommendation for a new general manager to the new governor. He says he doubts that new leader will come from within the MBTA system. All of the patients at a Quincy nursing home have been moved out as the facility prepares to close. As of the end of October, all 92 patients were relocated to other nursing facilities from the Quincy Health and Rehabilitation Center on the McGrath Highway in Quincy Center. The owner, Wachusett Healthcare, says that they're being forced to close the facility due to new pandemic-induced de-densification rules that required them to eliminate 34 beds, which they say makes the facility no longer economically viable. Wachusett has owned that facility since 2016. Company says it's also working to find new jobs nearby for its 68 employees at the Quincy facility. Last day of business at that center will be December 7th. A Quincy Center building has been transformed into housing for veterans. The building at the corner of Washington and Temple Streets has undergone a complete renovation. It will soon be dedicated as the Thomas Kiley Building. Mayor Thomas Koch says developer Leo Martin has overhauled the existing 16 studio and one-bedroom apartments and added 32 more units to create 48 homes for veterans.
That's all veterans housing, and we're going to be dedicating that building. It's going to be called the Thomas Kiley Building. Tom Kiley is a very, very astute, brilliant local attorney who's practiced out of Boston for a long time. He was a pre-sport captain, North Quincy High, went on to Harvard, then went to serve in the United States Army in the Vietnam War. He was actually left for dead, but obviously survived. He's had some pretty tough wounds he's dealt with for his whole life. He was Frank Bellatti's first assistant, Attorney General, and he appeared before the United States Supreme Court on veterans issues. So he's a remarkable individual, and we're excited that we're going to be naming that Veterans Building in his honor.
Building will be officially dedicated on November 12th at 11 a.m. Martin also recently renovated a building on Hancock Street in Quincy Center, creating affordable housing that was dedicated as the Joe Finn Building in honor of the former city councilor and longtime housing advocate. Well, a new 7-foot-tall bronze statue of First Lady Abigail Adams now adorns the Hancock Adams Common in Quincy Center. Hundreds of people attended a dedication ceremony for the new statue this past Saturday. One of the guest speakers, Catherine Algor, president of the Massachusetts Historical Society, said the wife of the nation's second president and mother of the sixth deserves that recognition.
Abigail was especially passionate about education for girls. Actually, in addition to possessing a naturally fine mind, and despite the fact that she had no formal schooling, she was pretty well educated for a woman in her time. Still, she was acutely aware that her education was not equal to a man's, and she was always apologizing for her spelling, punctuation, and writing style. I'll give it to her about the spelling and punctuation. Sometimes it's a little rough, but she should never apologize for her writing style. In her correspondence, as I'm sure you would agree, as a reader of it, her personality leaps from the page, and she is not shy about expressing her opinions. That's probably why I'd like to sit down and have that tea with her.
New statue replaces a statue of Abigail with a young John Quincy Adams that's been moved to Marymount Park. Mayor Thomas Koch commissioned this new statue at a cost of $350,000 after a group of residents complained that Abigail Adams was not properly represented in Quincy Center. That is our check of news today. Coming up, we sit down with Yoichi Utagawa from the Quincy Symphony Orchestra. That's next. Welcome back. We are pleased to welcome back to the program Yoichi Utagawa from the Quincy Symphony Orchestra, because they have two upcoming shows for 2022 and then, of course, into next year as well, because they are in their 69th concert season. By the way, Yoichi, I forgot to tell you this before we went on this morning. Today, November 7th, 1953, 69 years ago today is when the QSO was founded.
Is that right?
Yes, according to the Quincy Historical Society. I was reading their book.
I should know that, but thank you.
You should know that. So happy 69th anniversary to the QSO. Yeah. How long have you been conductor
Oh
now?
my gosh, that's a good question. I think 26, 27 years.
Wow, okay.
I know, it goes fast.
Well, you were just 10.
I wasn't even born yet.
Right. So that means, next year's the 70th. So do you have you have to plan something big?
Well, we haven't started thinking that far ahead.
Okay.
As I was telling you earlier, I only think about the next, what I'm doing in the next 5 minutes.
Sure, sir. Yeah. So, but you have to let Brian know.
That's right.
That's on him.
That's why we need Brian here.
He's letting you fly solo today.
Exactly. I'm
Brian
like
Hickox.
terrified. Yeah.
So how have you been, by the way?
Doing well, doing well. And the orchestra, we've been working hard on this program that we're going to give this Sunday, and we have been preparing, all joking aside, for Tis the Season, which we'll do on December 1st.
Yep.
And we're very excited about the upcoming concerts.
That's great. That's a fun one because you get to do it with the kids, right?
That's right. That's
Yeah.
right. 'Tis the season.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's really for us one of the highlights of the season, because we get to work with all these young students. So typically in the Tis the Season concert, we have the chorus, combined choruses, join us of the high schools,
Yeah.
as well as the John Adams String Orchestra.
Yep.
And then we also have the teachers come and do something
Yeah.
with us.
Yeah.
And so
Everybody gets to play a part in it.
and the collaboration, working with the young students, working with the teachers.
Yep.
That's a blast.
It's unique to a community orchestra too, isn't it?
Yeah, even by community orchestra standards, I think it's pretty unique.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay.
Because we're really working in collaboration with the schools. And there are a lot of community orchestras that highlight youth and have competitions, but I don't know very many that have such a close collaboration as we do.
Wow, Quincy's very fortunate then.
Well, we feel fortunate.
Yeah.
I hope it's a win-win situation for everybody. Yeah.
How is the membership of the QSO? Do you need? I always let you, promote
Yeah.
whether you need first violin or.
We're always community orchestras are always looking for string players.
Okay.
So if you play the violin or viola or cello or bass, come try us out.
Okay.
There's a certain level you have to be able to play.
All right.
But we're always looking for players like that, and sometimes we're looking for players like trombones and horns. Those are less in demand, but still, if there's a player out there who's interested, contact us.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. I would guess it would depend too on the repertoire of the performance, right?
Exactly.
What you need.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. But the other thing is, it's interesting you should ask this, because a friend of mine just was asking me this question the other day,
Yep.
and there are certain instruments in the orchestra that there's only one or two players.
Right.
Like there's only 2 flutes, 2 oboes, 2 clarinets, 2 bassoons. Those players really have to play at a fairly high level.
Yes. Because you can hear them.
Because you can hear them, and each one is playing a different part.
Okay.
Right. But when you get violins or violas or cellos, you still have to be able to play, but there's a lot of people in each section.
I understand. Yeah.
So you don't have to be the strongest player. You can make a contribution.
Yes, like a chorus.
Yeah.
Kind of similar,
exactly.
right? Yeah.
Exactly. As opposed to singing solo.
Yes. Okay. Interesting.
And so the requirements for, and we usually don't have as many openings for places like flute and oboe, but occasionally in the brass section, we could use some horns, some trombones.
Okay.
But even those people do have to play at a certain level, because those are exposed parts.
So is there
Yeah.
tryouts, or how does the process work?
Yeah. So if you contact the orchestra, just go to our website,
Yep.
QuincySymphonyOrchestra.org.
Yes. Okay.
There'll be a contact information there.
Okay.
Yeah. And then they have to come play for me.
Okay.
And some of the other players. For example, if it's a wind player, I might have one of the other winds come and listen.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
It's pretty informal, but there is a audition process.
Yeah. Still at North Quincy High? Is that where you're?
Yeah,
auditioning?
normally, in the last couple of years, we've been rehearsing at Quincy High School during the fall, because North Quincy's got the football program and the
Oh.
band going on.
Yeah. Okay.
All our concerts are at Quincy High School.
Right, okay.
But we rehearse half the year at Quincy High, which is what we're doing right now.
Okay.
Beautiful facility.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And then half the year at North Quincy.
Gotcha.
And that's also a very nice facility.
Okay.
So.
Well, it's been done over since.
Yeah. The schools have, in my 27 years of, is that possible? have improved so much.
Yeah.
We were talking about that earlier, right? Quincy has changed a lot.
Yes, there's been a lot of investment in infrastructure, schools being a big part of that.
It's a very vibrant place right now.
Yep. How many members in the orchestra now, even just roughly?
40 to 50 or
Oh,
so,
okay.
and it fluctuates. You know,
Yeah.
and I have to say the pandemic did hit us hard in the sense that we lost a bunch of string players, and we're trying to build that back up.
Okay.
And masking requirements, this, that, and the other thing, and typically in community orchestras, but not always, we do have quite a number of seniors, so they've been,
Just being careful.
Yeah, being careful. So we don't have a masking requirement,
Okay.
but of course everybody's free to use it if they,
Sure,
if they want.
yeah. Both as a participant and
Yes.
a guest,
Yes,
right?
Of course.
Okay.
Of course. Yeah. Mhm.
So let's talk about the upcoming concerts. It is Sunday, November 13th, 2:30 p.m. At the Lloyd Hill Auditorium at Quincy High School. And what will be happening?
Well, we're playing two pieces. It's a slightly shorter program,
Okay.
but we're going to be doing a wonderful violin concerto by Max Bruch. He was a German composer, and his first violin concerto, it's really one of the most popular violin concertos of all time.
Of all time?
Of all time. I would definitely, it ranks up there. And it's funny because we were talking about it in rehearsal. Bruch was a wonderful composer, but he's mainly known for that one piece.
Oh.
There's some other pieces of his that are played.
Okay.
But that's probably the big hit, but it's a spectacular piece.
Really?
Yeah, it's beautiful melodies. A lot of contrasting, each of the movements are very different, all passionate, beautiful music. Last movement, super high spirits, very virtuosic for the violin.
Which means what?
Very difficult, technically.
okay, all
Okay, and we have an amazing violinist coming to join us. I just had a rehearsal with her the other day. Oh my God, she sounds so amazing.
Sarita Kwok?
Sarita Kwok.
Okay.
She's a professor at Gordon College.
Oh.
But she does a lot of freelancing in the Boston area. Her husband is a member of the cello section of the BSO. And she plays all around in the area. And this is our first chance to work with her.
Oh, nice.
And oh my God, she's
Really?
amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing.
You are eminently impressed, I can tell. Yeah.
Oh, well, that is one thing about this whole Boston, greater Boston area, Quincy, Melrose, all these areas. There's so many talented musicians, and I don't know if people know, if you know classical music, you know that the Boston Symphony it's really one of the world's great orchestras.
Well, they just embarked on a tour
of Japan.
actually.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
And each one of those players in that orchestra is a world class.
Well,
You can't get in that orchestra.
we're spoiled, is what you're saying.
Yeah,
right?
we're spoiled.
Yeah.
We're spoiled, and we're very fortunate because we have, I have connections with some of the players. And,
Yes.
And they're interested in coming and playing.
Yes.
And doing solos with us. So it's a real treat, and for us, it's a thrill, and all of us who are doing music and the amateur musicians and some of them in the Quincy Symphony are really high level.
Really?
But oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
But when you work with somebody like that, like, oh God.
Well, I think it probably challenges you as a musician then,
Absolutely.
to improve your game, right?
Absolutely,
Yeah.
and I think that people who come and play in community orchestras, they're usually very accomplished people outside. They're lawyers, doctors, teachers, all kinds of people
Right.
who are highly educated, highly motivated.
Yes.
And they come, for free. They volunteer
That's right.
their time.
Yeah, it's
'cause
always important to remind people about that.
That's right.
Yeah.
And we do have to augment them with for concerts with paid players.
Okay.
So it does mean that puts a stress on the finances of the Quincy Symphony. So we're always looking for donations
Of course,
too. Yeah,
yeah.
because if you think about what it costs to hire a plumber, right? Or and they should be paid well, or electrician, right? These are highly skilled people.
Absolutely.
And when we hire extra players to come play with us, it's
It's costly.
It's costly.
Yeah. Plus, you have to pay for the rights to perform the music, right?
That depends on
okay.
when the music was written.
Oh, okay, okay.
So I think after it's 70 plus something like
Okay.
that, or 90.
Becomes public domain
Yeah,
after
it becomes
that.
public domain.
Okay.
So it's interesting. It's cheaper to play Beethoven than it is some modern composer.
Well, right, yeah.
Right. But nonetheless, so it's a real pleasure to have people like Sarita come play with us.
Nice.
Yeah. And I think our audiences are going to be blown away.
Wow.
Yeah.
Any ever thought of taking the QSO on the road? Yoichi?
On the road to Japan.
Maybe
Well,
not
that would be
Japan,
fun. And then we're closing the concert
Yes.
with a symphony by William Grant Still. And now that name probably will not be familiar to most people,
Right.
but he was born in 1895. He lived until about 1978.
Oh.
And he was the first African American to have a major work played by a major orchestra. And he was the first African American to conduct a major American symphony orchestra. And he wrote a bunch of works, 200 works, something like that, 5 symphonies, 4 ballets, 9 operas, you know.
Wow, very prolific.
Very
Yeah.
prolific. He knew people like George Gershwin. Gershwin studied with him.
Okay.
All right. And this symphony of his, Symphony Number 1, we're playing that. I don't know if the Quincy Symphony has ever played this piece. But,
Wow.
certainly during my time. And we've been thrilled working on this piece. It's really a symphony in the technical sense. I mean, I don't want to get into the whole mechanics of what a symphony. You have to have certain things,
I
you
see.
know.
Okay.
But he does that. But instead of a Beethoven symphony, you know, he puts in a blues tune.
Ah.
And he does things, but with spirituals. And,
Okay, all right.
And it's a stunning work. And I've performed it elsewhere, and people love the piece.
Really?
So we think that's going to be a fun concert.
Okay.
You know, something very well known with a virtuoso violinist, and something that will hopefully be new to audience. I think will be new to audiences, and something that they'll love. So
And the interesting thing is, too, I know that you talked to the audiences
Yes.
about these works,
Yes.
right? So what
Yes.
you just explained to me, you will explain.
absolutely,
during the show, yeah.
and we're going to play some of the main themes of the Afro-American Symphony of Stills, and the tunes are gorgeous. I mean, the first movement, it's a 12-bar blues theme, you know,
Fun,
played by
okay.
the trumpet. Now, Brian,
Wow, all right.
he's not here because he's at home practicing that part.
He wants to get it right,
It's very exposed.
so he really needs to get it right, yeah.
Right.
He'll be in the spotlight.
Yeah, no, it's
So
great.
is there no intermission during this particular
There will be a
concert? There
short
will be?
intermission.
Okay.
Yeah, it probably each half is about 30 minutes
Oh,
long.
no,
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, so
Very good.
yeah.
Is this the first concert of the season? No. You've
Well,
already
we did do an outdoor pops at
Oh,
City Hall.
right, yes.
And in coordination with the Quincy Choral Society.
Yes, that's right.
And we love we love giving concerts there.
Yeah.
And also we love working with the Quincy Choral Society.
Mm-hmm.
They have a wonderful young conductor, first woman conductor of the Quincy
That's
Choral
right.
Society, Sarah Larrabee, and she is terrific. We really enjoy working with her
Fun.
and the singers.
I bet, yeah.
Yeah.
And it's a beautiful setting there in the Common
Yeah.
as well.
Yes.
So very nice. And then it's 'Tis the Season.
'Tis the season.
Yes. December 1st, you said?
December 1st.
Okay, Thursday night, I think it is.
Thursday night. I
Yep.
believe what was the start time? Is 7 o'clock, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's
something-
an evening concert.
Yeah, it's an evening concert,
Okay.
and it will be without intermission.
Okay.
So it's going to go. It should be over about 8:30.
Okay.
Not a little something like that.
School night, actually. So
It is a school night, so
Yeah.
we don't want it to go too late.
Right.
You know? And so the Quincy Symphony will be doing a couple of selections. We're doing a narration piece with a high school student who's going to do the narration from a drama student.
Oh, okay.
And then, as I mentioned, the John.
'Twas the Night Before
Yeah,
Christmas?
'Twas the Night
Okay.
Before Christmas.
Okay.
And then we have the John Adams String Orchestra.
Yeah.
And we always love working with them because they're going to sit in the orchestra with us.
Okay.
They're not going to play all the pieces, but the selections with them. All right. And then the teachers are going to do a selection with us. Michael DeMarco has made a whole bunch of arrangements, and he's a very talented guy.
Nice.
And we're going to be doing one of his arrangements. And then we're going to work with Timothy Carew and his students. The choruses are just so wonderful at Quincy High Schools. So And then we're going to do a sing-along.
Oh, of course.
Our annual sing-along.
Yes.
There's a lot of goofing off, a lot of fun.
Yes, maybe a few Santa hats involved.
A few Santa hats, But the whole idea is to celebrate the spirit of the season.
Yeah.
So.
It's fun for us here, too, by the way, that show at QATV, because some of the students in the TV production class at the high school help us out producing the concert.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh, great.
So it really is a totally student-involved production.
Fantastic.
Both in front of the cameras and behind them.
That's
Yeah.
good. That's good. I mean, it's always fun to work with young people,
Yeah.
right? Because
It's a different energy.
Yeah,
It's a whole
they're
different
just
energy.
so totally into it,
Yeah. Makes you feel like a kid again.
It does.
So that's the last show of the 2022 season.
Well, of this year,
Yeah,
but then
yeah.
and then I think our concert after that is in February.
February? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then February, March, and April.
Okay. Which at that point you'll be in your 70th year for the QSO, not for you, Yoichi.
that year gets closer every year.
Doesn't it look younger too? Every year it gets closer.
It does.
Looks a lot younger.
It
Yeah.
does.
Personally, you've been in this country a very, very long time. Well, you're 7, I think.
Yeah. So I have I grew up in Texas, and
Yes.
there's a bumper sticker. Occasionally, you see it in Texas. It says, "I wasn't born here, but I got here as quick as I could." And that's what I say about being in America. I wasn't born here, but I got here as quick as I could. My father was a nuclear physicist, and he was on the faculty of the University of Texas for a long time. And so we moved there when I was 6.
Wow.
But before that, after I'd been born, my father had another position in Florida. And so I actually moved to America when I was a couple months old.
Oh.
And then we moved to Europe, then we moved to Japan, and then we moved to Texas.
Oh, okay.
There's a lot of moving around in there. I don't remember it very much.
Sure.
But I started first grade, not a word of English.
Wow.
And but it's funny, when you're a kid, I don't even remember how. Now I can't speak Japanese.
Seriously?
Yeah, I can speak it a little bit.
Okay.
But my parents, they thought, well, maybe we'll go back to Japan. So they were encouraging us to use English all the time. And then by the time they knew we weren't going to go back to Japan,
They just gave up?
Yeah, and we were already, my brother and I were always using English.
Yeah,
So, because fortunately, we could speak a little bit.
Okay.
But I wish that we had practiced a little bit more
Yeah.
when we were younger, because it's always good to be able to speak another language.
Do you still have family in Japan?
Yes.
Okay.
But because we've been over here for
Ever? Yeah.
I mean, since
Well, your
90
lifetime.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, 50 years or
Right.
so. I'm in touch with a couple of relatives.
Okay.
But, yeah. I have an aunt that I'm particularly close to. I talk about once a month.
Yeah.
But, we haven't made it over there.
I was just going to ask if you've been back. Okay.
But my wife and I have said that we need to go over there because
Yes.
we went there on our honeymoon.
Yes.
And we'd like to go back and explore. I mean, and of course, COVID has just, forever. Japan was only recently
Just
opened up.
recently, yeah.
I think in the last couple of weeks.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
There's your opportunity. You could take the QSO.
Take the QSO on a trip. Come on, BSO, move over. The QSO's coming.
Well, congratulations on a successful season.
Thank you very
And
much.
Look forward
Yeah.
to more in the future, I'm sure.
Well, we are always having fun, so.
Absolutely. Are there scheduled rehearsals that folks can attend, Yoichi?
Well, I mean, so if anybody's interested in playing in the orchestra,
Yep.
we rehearse on Tuesday nights. 7:30
Yep.
to about 9:30. And as mentioned, we are often at, we divide our time,
Yep.
half the year at Quincy High School and half the year at North Quincy
Okay.
High School.
So right now you're at Quincy High.
And right now we're at Quincy High.
Okay,
Yeah.
so Tuesday night, 7:30.
Absolutely. And we're a friendly group. We take the music seriously, and we want to get it right, and we work hard to do that. At the same time, it's very relaxed and very chill, and I have a blast working with the musicians. I like to think that we all have a good time.
Yep. Yeah.
On
Well, I've been to a
Tuesday
couple of your rehearsals, and it is fun.
It's fun. We like to have fun.
It is
you
fun,
know?
but it is serious also.
Yeah. We want to get it right, but I think that when you create an atmosphere where people can be free, it tends to it makes it easier to do a good job.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Good to talk to you.
Great to talk to you, Joe.
Thanks for coming over.
Thank
Yuichi.
you.
You are welcome. Just enough time to check the forecast for you for the rest of the day today. What you see is what you get. Sunny and mild temperatures in the mid-upper 70s, perhaps. Kind of breezy as well. We get back to November weather starting tomorrow. Lots of sunshine, but much chillier temperatures. Highs in the low 50s, warming up again here on Thursday. Thanks again for Yuichi Utagawa stopping by and joining us from the QSO. Thanks to our crew. Thank you for watching. We are off this Friday. It's Veterans Day. Join us again next Monday. Kelly Eisner's here from the American Red Cross. Don't forget our website too, qatv.org. Our latest programs, news and information, video on demand, live streaming, and more. For all of us here at QATV, I'm Joe Catalano. Have a great week.